You got it locked on Roadium Radio.
Due to circumstances beyond anyone's control, Dr. Dre is in the motherfucking house. So right about now, and I say, yo Steve, are you with me? ICE, are you with me?
Here's a little something about a nigga like me that never should've let me buy tape from Steve. Ice Cube would like to play dope shit mixed by Dr. Dre. Since I was a youth, I like Compton. Now I like the motherfucking Roadium. Buying a tape or two, that's what the hell I do. You don't like Tony A? Well, fuck you, this is a game, and I'm in it. Ice Cube will fuck you up in a minute with a right, left, right, making you sick. And then you see Tony A is on the mix.
Tony A! Tony A! When you're ready, go.
Welcome back, everyone, to Roadium Radio episode 258. Yes, 258. And before I introduce my very special guest of the night, I got a couple of shout outs I got to give. One, I want to give a shout out once again to Christian Garcia. He blessed me with this beautiful model that he built and he put together. So once again, Christian Garcia, I want to thank you for blessing me, blessing my team with this. We're going to put it right here on the table. So it actually replaced my other model kit that was there. So it's your spot now. Christian Garcia can be followed on Instagram at 714_model_cars_. Once again, Christian Garcia, thank you for that model kit. Second shout out, I want to give a shout out to Sarah. She goes by Sarah S on, Sarah Vinyl on Instagram. She blessed me with this Be Real as Dr. Green Thumb. I put it this way, it's so dope. I don't even want to take it out of the box, but I will. But I'm going to put it on the table as well until I find a better spot. And third, I want to give a shout out once again to Not Your Granny's Cookies. If you want to get the bomb cookies from the city of Wilmington, the harbor area, make sure you guys hit up, once again, Not Your Granny's Cookies. I'm going to eat one probably during the break, but her link is on the description where you can contact her via Instagram. Beautiful, amazing, big cookies. So once again, Nacho Granny's Cookies has sponsored us today. So once again, thank you very, very much, Nacho Granny's Cookies. Then, let me push these over here in case somebody from my team wants to eat one. So, then I want to give a shout out to, once again, Rockin' Chicano for blessing me with this hat right here that I'm sporting today. So, you know I had to sport it. So once again, thank you, Rockin' Chicano. And if you guys didn't hear his episode, you guys need to check out that episode. An amazing, amazing story. But speaking of amazing stories, before I introduce my guest, I want to say that when I got into podcasting, when we reached out to each other, if you will, my guest was probably the most controversial guest that I've had up to that point, and probably still is the most viewed interview on Roadium Radio. The reason why he was controversial, if you don't know, is because this was a brother that was from up north, and he came down here, and he is serving God now. He is a pastor, and if you guys haven't seen his interviews, look him up. But he's got an amazing story, and we're just going to continue that story. I consider this man a friend of mine, and that's why he's always going to be welcome here, whether people like it or not. So without further ado, please allow me to introduce my very good friend, David Rocha, a.k.a. Sir Dyno.
How you doing?
I'm good, David. I want to ask you, David, does it bother you when people off the street don't recognize you as Pastor David Rocha, but they'll call you Sir Dyno? How you doing?
Happens all the time. Still happens. Sometimes people say Pastor Dyno.
Really?
Yeah, it just...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the street, do you still get people that possibly do not know that you're a pastor and still say like, "What's up, Sir Dyno"?
It used to happen more like when I first got out of prison. But ever since then, Now, every time I run into people, it used to be where people would run into me and they would know me by my music.
Yes.
But it's changed now. Now they're just like, hey man, you used to be Sir Dyno, right? They say used to be.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's because your channel. People are getting the news. I don't know.
Oh,
but a lot of people they respect it, and they'll just be like, man, you know what? I know what you're doing your thing. I know you got the church, but man, I loved your music.
Yeah.
And then they'll shake my hand and just walk away and
Okay. When I just want to touch a little bit on how we first met. Let me just reiterate that.
Yeah.
There was somebody, I don't know who it is, but if you're watching, I want to thank you because he's the one that actually connected us. And he left a comment on YouTube, and I just happened to run into it because I really don't check a lot of my YouTube comments.
Yeah.
I just let them go. I want the people to have the freedom to speak, whether it's negative or positive. You know what? Go ahead and share what's in your heart. Say whatever makes you feel better. That's the way I feel. But there was this one guy that said, you know what, you need to get Sir Dyno. And he was always on there. Now, other people had requested you, but this guy was adamant.
Yeah.
Sir Dyno. So now I was like, okay, dude, hook it up and we'll do it. Then he got back to me. We spoke on the phone. It was first we contacted each other via email. We spoke on the phone. You came down, and to that point, the guy that I had at the time, the guy that I had running my show, he was scared because he really felt, man, you're gonna bring him over here?
Oh.
And I said, he's a pastor now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but who he used to be, he's a pastor now. And I received a lot of phone calls because people saw you somehow as a threat coming over here. I never saw you as that. We spoke on the phone.
Yeah.
I like what I felt, and I said, let's go with it. So now, the last time you were here was episode 164, okay? And today we're in episode 258.
Wow.
Okay? 94 episodes ago you were here, so I believe that it was time for us to sit down and chop it up again.
Yeah, man. I enjoy coming here. We conversate on the phone quite a bit. I felt, even at that first time, I remember I said, this is somebody I'm going to be friends with. I felt that, and we've talked on the phone and conversations. And so,
awesome.
Anytime when you invited me to come back, I didn't even hesitate. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Awesome. Now, you know what? I kind of want to give somewhat of a quick recap because there are some things that you said to me on your first interview that I had to go back and listen to. You grew up north in Tracy, and if I'm correct, small city?
Yeah, it's small. It was even smaller then.
Okay. And you said that in Tracy, you were either white or Latino.
Yeah.
Okay. You said in elementary, it was predominantly white, possibly 80%, and the rest was Latinos. And you grew up with kids in your school referring to you or calling you wetback.
Yeah.
Okay. And I remember that because you had said that growing up, you almost held that anger in.
Yeah.
And it's possibly what shaped and molded you for what was to come as far as the music and the street stuff that you did.
Yeah.
I want you to paint us a picture of what Tracy was like in the 80s and 90s when gangs were at an all-time high, crack was at an all-time high, and even rap music, gangster rap was at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I could sit here and paint you a picture of LA, but we're not here to talk about me. What was it like during that time in Tracy?
Well, I think it's interesting you asked me because you were in the center of what was happening here in the LA rap scene, because of the people you were around and the production that you were doing. But maybe you've never heard of the impact that had on small towns. Because back then in the 80s, you got to understand, like the beginning of the 80s was breakdancing. It was very innocent, but and I believe what crack hit in 84?
Yes, yeah.
In the Bay Area. But in Tracy, which was about 35 minutes away from the Bay, we still held our innocence for a little longer. But when gangster rap, Ice-T started, I remember Ice-T came out, other artists, a lot of them from the East Coast. It changed, and then when drugs started coming in and the movie Colors, oh man, you know, and being in a small town. And here's the thing about the small town is we were right next to Stockton. And Stockton has always had a Wild Wild West mentality and just the life. That's where I live now, you know. And so it's a trip because even though I was a gang member as a kid in Tracy, it wasn't like the stories you hear in East LA or San Francisco but for us, everything was brand new and it was exciting. The lowrider scene was big. My older brothers were into lowriding. They were dressing like cholos, and so it was very, very influential. It's a strange place because not only that, but Tracy is also known for the Tracy prison.
Okay.
And that's when a lot of our local newspaper always had when somebody was killed or murdered in that Tracy prison. And for some reason, as kids, we kind of use that as status, like this happened in Tracy.
Okay.
But it was a Tracy, you know, you understand I'm 15, 16 years old, you know?
Right.
And so constantly you were seeing Nuestra Familia, Mexican Mafia, like just constantly. And I think just a mixture of Stockton being next to us, of the Bay Area being 35 minutes away, gangster rap exploding. I think all of that created almost a perfect storm, you know, it's a storm because I think that growing up, I had no idea what was about to hit not only Tracy, but many, many cities and many towns at that time because I don't know how I survived the late 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, you know what? And I say the same thing. Sometimes I say this jokingly, and maybe I shouldn't. I always said if I survived, you know, the crack epidemic and the gang epidemic, you know, the gang violence, I could survive COVID, you know.
Yeah.
But it was just no joke back then. You know, here people were dying daily, weekly, you know. It was just not a good time. And I guess, was it like that as well over there? Was there a lot of... in that time? Because out here, I mean, yeah, there was a lot of drive-bys. Yeah, there was a lot of walk-bys. Yeah, there was a lot of overdosing. Was it like that over there as well?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not going to sit here and say it was anything like it was in the LA area, but I've lost friends. Okay. You know, I've lost friends. I remember one friend that my cousin was going to give him a tattoo, and he was really looking forward to it. He had made this homemade tattoo out of a pin and this little motor with a guitar string. Uh-huh. And the night before, he got murdered. You know, just those things like that it didn't happen often for me, but I did lose friends, and I mean, there was gang fights all the time, you know, and things were going on, and it created the content for my lyrics, which was going to happen, you know, at that time, you know, and just the frustrations of it. And here's the thing, though, about a small town, right, is in Tracy, we only had so many gas stations. We only had so many stores. There was one Kmart, and so you were bound to run into an enemy.
Oh, yes.
No matter what. There was only like 3 main streets. And so that made it just really, it got wild, you know, for us, you know. And then you had Stockton, not so far, Modesto, not so far, and just anytime there's a wedding or a quinceañera or a cruise night, you know, it's probably the same way here. You know, I understand like Whittier attracted everybody, you know, and so you were going to have problems jump off. So I think that's what shaped me. Now, you mentioned something, though, about when I was younger, I did live in a predominantly white town. Tracy was a white town originally, not so much anymore, you know, but it was. So a lot of us were for myself and my friends, a lot of racism, a lot. I was called wetback. I was called beaner. And these are kids that were my friends in kindergarten and first grade, but now we're in 4th and 5th. And these, they were calling me these things. Obviously now as an adult, I know that was learned. Somebody taught them that. Right. You know, but yeah, I was faced with a lot of racism at that time. There was hardly any blacks in Tracy, hardly. The few there were, they sided with Chicanos, you know what I mean? Because we were very a minority, you know, so everybody had to stick together.
Any white gangs?
No.
So okay.
No.
Because it being predominant, I would have thought for sure there might have been.
Yeah, no.
one.
All the white guys that were at that time were just jocks.
Okay.
And it was like in movies, you see, and they all
Right.
would hang around, you know what I mean? And it's different now, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But that's how it was.
Now you spoke on movies, and I think it's important to bring this up because I believe not only can music influence certain people, but I believe even movies. And you brought up colors.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, living here, colors inspired at the very, very end when it looked like the Mexican gang won, with Frog and,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of Mexicans here from my neighborhood that were Bloods.
Yeah.
I truly believe that somehow that movie influenced them to kind of go that route.
Yeah.
Because as soon as that kind of played out, then they became, homies again.
Yeah.
Do you believe that movies like that, whether it was Colors, whether it was Bound by Honor, which was Blood In, Blood Out,
Yeah.
Boulevard Nights, American Me, do you think they had an influence on our culture as far as Raza?
I have a love and hate relationship with those movies because, we growing up, I embraced those movies because there wasn't many movies that represented Chicanos. So there's that side of it.
Right.
But then there's, as a pastor, as an adult, I look back and realize Boulevard Nights highly influenced me. I saw that in a movie theater. I believe that came out in 78, 79.
Yes.
I was born in 72. My older brother took me to see Boulevard Nights. And because he was into the whole cholo clothes and low riding. But I don't even think he realized what that did to me. Because I saw Chuco and I'm like, I want to be Chuco. Just like everybody else,
Yeah.
And I was, think about that, a 7-8-year-old seeing that. And then later on, when Colors came out, to me, again, that changed a lot also. I think that influenced a lot of people in Tracy because I have older brothers and older cousins, so I already knew about lowriders and Raza and cholos and this and that. But the younger guys in Tracy that were my age but maybe didn't have older siblings, when they saw Colors, they started forming gangs. Oh. And at that time, I felt like Tracy was all united. Like Tracy, man, I'm from Tracy. And all of a sudden, it's split into factions at that point. And I remember telling my friends in the neighborhood where I grew up with, I'm like, we're not going to get involved with that. We're just from Tracy. And eventually, these gangs started coming. It's trying to start trouble. So it basically forced us to become a gang.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I truly believe that a lot of these movies were or are influential.
Yeah.
I think some of them even till today, because I get people that, for an example, Scarface, who didn't want to be Al Pacino?
Yeah, right.
You look at Casino, you look at Goodfellas, you look at Bronx Tale, a lot of these gangster movies that a lot of these guys want to portray, like, that's me. Yeah. Again, I shared this with a previous guest with me that I had here not too long ago, how American Me was like on regular rotation with me and my brother.
Yeah.
I never been to prison. Thank God for that.
Yeah.
I'm not one that, I have to go. But looking at that movie, I thought to a certain extent, not only did it show its realness, but it somewhat glorified it, because there are some people that were feeling like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go there, and you yourself have been to prison, and you've never glorified it.
I remember growing up, though, as a kid, way before American Me came out. And I just want to show you how twisted it is. And I don't know how it was down here, but over there, growing up, we looked at people from Nuestra Familia as the epitome. Like they were like these superheroes, these people. And I remember actually with me and my friends thinking, man, I can't wait to grow up, go to prison, and be a part of NF. Like that was our mentality. And it's just crazy. Like these movies, like Scarface, and as an adult, I can enjoy them as art now.
Right.
But when you're a young person, you don't see it like that. You see like, man, I want to be like that. And these guys, they shoot people in the movies, but then they get up and they wipe the blood off.
Right.
But yeah, I think that it was very dangerous, you know, and that's why I say that this love-hate relationship, because they're classics. Because it's not just Chicano movies. Godfather, classics. Scarface, classics, you know, but highly influential, you know.
Right. I the reason why I wanted to ask you about the actual movie thing is because I know you had shared with me that you had directed and starred in 8 movies that you did yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and I had shared before.
With 2 other friends, yeah.
Yeah, I had shared before how I believe that you guys up there, when it came to movies, you guys were ahead of your time because nobody out here, and I'm speaking as far as Raza, was doing movies at that time.
Yeah.
You know, now whether, you know, you think they're corny or whether you like them or not, but I think getting not only, if you will, making music, but now expanding to movies, I think that was a big step. Do people recognize you from those movies still?
Yeah, a lot, actually. A lot.
Really?
I was just having a conversation with Cholo Trucker.
Okay.
Yeah, and just the other day, and he said that he never heard my music because he's from down here, you know. He goes, but I knew you because of your movies.
Really?
Yeah, because they were in every blockbuster video, every Hollywood video, all the movie rentals, and you know how it was back then.
Yeah.
You know, that's what you did on a weekend is you went and rented a whole bunch of movies, and so yeah, there's a lot of people that I think eventually my movies got more known than my music. I mean, that's my opinion. I don't know.
Wow. Okay.
They're kind of embarrassing, but
Now, why would you say that? Why would you say kind of embarrassing? Is it because, like, wow, I look back and I'm thinking that was terrible?
because I didn't want to act.
Oh, okay.
I did not want to act. It was Darkroom Studios was owned by me and 2 brothers, and they were really movie buffs. To this day, they still are.
Okay.
And they wanted to make movies, and they're just like, man, we want to direct it, and you act in them. I'm like, bro, I'm not an actor, you know. And so it was kind of like a funny thing, and I'd be like, all right, I'll do it. I had no idea what I was doing, took no acting classes, and, you know, nothing. I didn't know what I was doing at all, but they said something that became true. Is they said, you do these movies, and your music, you'll become bigger than life. And it's true. Out of the whole label, my music is the one that sold the most. Every time I dropped a solo, it's the one that sold the most because I was the face that they were. All these gangster movies, I was the one shooting people and threatening people, and so they related that to the music, and you know it turned into Unit Soul.
Well, you had also said that around 15 years old is pretty much when you began to write poems, if I'm correct.
Yeah, poems.
Poems, and this might be a long shot, but do you still have any of those 15-year-old poems?
No, I don't. No.
Okay, and that's pretty much eventually what led you into
rap.
Into rap.
Yeah.
1991, you released, if I'm correct, your first EP, Dyno Generation Under Nation.
Yes.
Okay, it was Gun. Okay.
Yeah.
And you said that that pretty good.
Yeah.
And then you ended up in 1992, if I'm correct, you released R.I.P. to the Barrio.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
those are cassettes.
Okay. Yes. Now I wanted to ask you why R.I.P. to the Barrio.
Wow, man, I'm 50. I forget a lot of stuff now. I think what was happening, I think on that song, if I recall, is that a lot of people in the 90s, people were dying left and right.
Yes.
People were getting shot, murdered. I mean, it was just crazy. I'm telling you, there's one thing about Stockton, and the reason I say Stockton and not so much Tracy, because it's basically, we're in the same county.
Right.
We're 20 minutes away from each other. Is that you didn't even have to be enemies. People were just getting gunned down just on the street, just standing there. And when I did that album, it was because there was so many people dying. And I'm not saying people I knew. Right. You know, I mean, I have a couple friends that got murdered, but for the most part, just as a whole, our neighborhoods, people are dying left and right. So I was basically saying rest in peace to the barrio, to the whole neighborhood. So
wow, okay. I have something here. Hopefully I still have it. I didn't delete it. But I just kind of wanted to ask you about, let me make sure I still have it here. And if not, we'll move on because I could have swore that I still had it, but no. I had the cover of that cassette.
Oh, really?
Yes, along with the songs. And I wanted to ask you as far as about some of the songs. But we'll get into that in a little bit. But now, as far as, let me bring my questions back up. Okay. As far as the movies go, do you still own the rights to those movies? Like whatever they sell, whatever.
No. All those rights stayed with the two brothers.
Okay.
Yeah, they're Quiroz brothers. They still make movies, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, when I was in prison and I gave my life to the Lord, I said I don't want nothing to do with that stuff. So,
right.
I believe they released them on Amazon Prime, I think, or something. I don't know. They're on Amazon Prime.
Wow. Do you ever go back and watch those at all?
Sometimes to show my wife, and we crack up.
Okay. Now, here's one thing that I wanted to somewhat get into while we still have a few minutes left. If not, we'll pick up when we come back after break. You said something on your first interview that when I went back to look at it, I wish we could have elaborated a little bit more, but now that I have you now, before you went to prison, you had released an album called Engrave These Words on My Stone.
Yes.
Okay. And this is what you said, and I quote, "I thought I was building an empire, and really, I was building a prison around me. When I go back and listen to it, I'm crying out for God."
Yeah.
Is that how you feel when you listen to that record?
Yeah, that was my last album, and I was very, very much caught up I was slanging dope. I was making a lot of money making records. I was flying places, doing car shows and concerts and autograph signings. Movies were in Hollywood and blockbuster videos. The lifestyle just felt so fast that every day I felt like today's the day I'm gonna get gunned down. Like it was just so much dirt that was being done, so many enemies. So and I was, you gotta understand that at this point, I was very noticeable. Like I was going all over the place: San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, Hayward. I was very recognizable, and that gave somebody else the advantage.
Yeah.
You know, and I just felt like I had premonitions that I was going to get gunned down on stage. Wow. You know, those times where I would almost cause riots. You know, because I almost wanted it.
Wow.
You know, because I'm just like, if it's going to happen, then just let it happen. And I would, is it antagonize, or I don't know what the word is, the crowd, you just rile them up.
Yeah.
I remember in Stockton, some people tried to tell me to get off the stage, and I just basically almost started right there. In Fresno, same thing. Because I said, if it's going to happen, then it's going to happen, you know, and I would just do things overboard to almost make it happen.
Right.
You know, and so when I wrote that album, I said, engrave these words on my stone, because I really in my heart felt that was going to be my last Sir Dyno album, which is interesting because it was. Wow. You know, and Sir Dyno did die, but in a different way than I thought.
Yes. Yeah. I remember when you were first here and we did a clip, and I called you and I said, hey, we're going to do a clip of your interview. And I need to ask you for permission first, you know, because I'm not one who's going to try to do some clickbait stuff. Yeah. So I asked you, we're thinking of naming this clip, Sir Dyno is dead, David Rocha lives. And you said, oh, I like that. Okay. Yeah. When we post that up, there were people contacting me, and they literally asked me, is he dead? Like they thought when you left here, you must have got smoked or something. Yeah. And I said, no, you have to look at it. You have to look at it. One thing that what we meant was like, yeah, Sir Dyno, the artist, is dead, but David Rocha has risen. Yeah. Okay. That's pretty much what we meant. Okay. Now, as far as that record is concerned, did you ever consider yourself a Chicano rapper or just an artist, a rap artist?
A Chicano rapper.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, was there other Chicanos up north, like where you're from, that ever that released records, they embrace the Chicano rap thing, or did they consider themselves artists? Because the reason why I asked that, there's artists here, Chicanos, that say, I don't want to be called a Chicano rapper, I'm just an artist. Yeah. And then there's split with, I'm a Chicano rapper. Did you guys have that there as well?
Not really that conversation, but you could tell in the music.
Okay.
You know, that, and I used to say this back then, is that, see, you got to understand that I grew up on a ranch. My dad was a farmer. My brothers were all into the lowriding scene and all that. Boulevard nights, stuff like that. The whole Chicanismo was really deep within me. Like I remember reading Chicano history books, things like that. So or even Cesar Chavez and things like that. So that whole movement was something that was big to me.
Yeah.
So when I started rapping, I said, I'm going to do music for my people, and that's it.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to cross over to anything. If anybody else bought my stuff, cool. But I'm not trying to make. And but here's the thing, though, is a lot of rappers thought that if they go that route, they were kind of blocking themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and they would rather sell to everybody. But it kind of backfired on them because what happened was my music ended up taking off. I sold a lot of units here in LA. I sold a lot of units the whole Southwest because of the sound. You know, because I embraced Chicanismo and I rapped it and I knew who I was making my music for, and that was it. And it ended up being successful because you got to understand at that time there was, Kid Frost? Who else was out really?
Yeah.
At that time, and I think Proper Dose.
Yeah.
But there wasn't that many.
Yeah, no, we could definitely talk about those groups when we come back. But you know what? One thing I will say, and I know I have a lot of Chicano rappers watching right now, okay? I interviewed, this is episode 258, I would probably say at least about 50 admitted it when they sat in that chair. And they told me, look, bro, I'm not going to lie to you. I know you had Sir Dyno here, but you know what? I grew up on Darkroom Familia, bro. And I was like, really? How come you just don't ever say it? Oh, I can't.
Yeah.
I think that's sad that it even comes down to music, that you can't even admit that you like certain type of music. I've had artists, man, Sir Dyno, there was just something about him. Darkroom Familia, that whole movement, I grew up on that. I've had rappers from here, okay? When I say from here, from, LA, that have told me, I think I listened to them more than I did Chicano rap here. Wow. But they just don't admit it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not going to toss no names because I know probably.
Well, can I say something to
Yes.
those guys if they are?
Go for it.
Is I want to say, first of all, that even though that's my past, that humbles me. Because at that time, I took my art very serious, my music very serious. And my second thing I would say is, if you liked to listen to that, come on to my YouTube and hear me preach.
Awesome. There you go. Okay, everybody, we're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. And we're going to come back once again with David Rocha, a.k.a. Sir Dyno, former member of the Darkroom Familia. So once again, call somebody, text somebody, and I'm going to go ahead and say pray for somebody. And we'll be back in 10 minutes. See you then. Once again, everyone, welcome back to Roadium Radio, episode 258. And once again, if you guys want to order some of those Granny's cookies, we put that on the live chat, so you guys can go and follow her and hit her up for some cookies. They are delicious. I guarantee it. Other than that, we're going to go ahead and jump right back into it with David Rocha, a.k.a. once again, Sir Dyno. How you doing, brother? Everything good?
Good. Oh, yeah.
Okay. You know what? Something interesting I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Because you had said that you had premonitions of dying up on stage.
Yeah.
You know, as wild as that may sound, hey, that's your story. And you released one last record before you went to prison. Now, what year did you go to prison in?
04.
04. So you released this record. Now, before we get into the actual titles of the songs, I wanted to ask you, when you released this record, what was the feedback that you were getting when this record came out? Were you out long before you went in?
That album was actually the first time I started to get radio play. Yeah, so it was like a whole other chapter in my career. I had there was a station in Merced that played it, and then they got it on rotation, and then a station in Stockton, K-Win, got it on rotation, and then once you get one, it's like dominoes.
Right.
So then I went to Selena's, and they had it on rotation, and then I had two meetings with stations in San Francisco, because that's like the main thing. Once you get there, it's going to go cross country after that, and that's around the time I got arrested.
Wow.
So this album was the one that was supposed to just kind of catapult my career.
Okay. All right. And now let me ask you this. And this might be a dumb question, but I have to ask because I was happy with my first High C album. When I produced half of the second one, I was not happy at all, and I didn't even care.
Yeah.
Because me and him were just not, at that time, we're not in good standings.
Yeah.
Were you happy with this record?
The last one?
Yes.
Yeah, I consider it probably my best one.
Okay. Then, and once again, engrave these words on my stone, and we're going to go through some of the songs.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Song number 1, engrave these words on my stone. What did you mean by that?
If something was going to happen to me, which I felt was going to, if it wasn't for the gangbanging, it was because of the dope dealing. I wanted this to be the album that basically what I was saying is my lyrics, engrave this on my stone because I'm about to die. Yeah. So I felt that my time had run out already.
Wow. And how old were you for you to say that?
I was about 31.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and my son is 31.
Yeah.
And I would hate to hear him talk like that.
Well, my parents are watching this, and they don't know this. They're hearing this for the first time. That's how I felt. But the life that I was living, it was just off the... I wasn't really gangbanging at 30 years old, but it was just a lot of the people that I was meeting because of the dope that I was selling, a lot of the people I was meeting from prison gangs, very dangerous people that I was around, and I just felt like death was around every corner. So I said, I'm gonna put everything into this album because that way my children have something. Because I felt like if I died, this record will explode, and then it'll be something for my kids to have.
Okay.
Financially.
Wow. The next one was Risen from the Dead.
You know what? I don't even remember.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
That one's, it says Dyno, also Crooked Dub, or Crooked and then Dub and then Duke.
Yeah.
It has that on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of the darkroom artists.
Okay. Track number 3, Closed Casket featuring Big Drew.
Yeah.
Closed Casket.
Yeah.
Us from the streets, we know what that is, but for those that may not know what that is, can you kind of elaborate?
Yeah, well, closed casket means you're going to get shot in the face. You're not going to give somebody's family that enjoyment of having an open casket, So that song was just a lot of the things, again, that were going on. Enemies, everything was just getting worse. It felt like the bigger, this goes back to what you said in the beginning, is I thought I was building an empire, but it in reality became a prison for me. And it was just the enemies, the haters, you name it. I mean, I heard so many rumors about me, and it was just funny. It was just insane. And the more my music sold, and I realize that now, that.
Right.
That the more people are going to say things. And so on that song, I remember just being angry and just saying, man, I'm going to give you a closed casket.
Wow. Okay. Track number 4, Times Are Changing, featuring Raul.
Yeah, I still like that song. I remember showing it to my wife. She probably don't remember top of her head now, but that song is I was just being real. I was just being real about how I saw our neighborhoods, how I saw life. You can hear my desperation of wanting to get out of the life in that song. If anyone ever wants to hear my stuff, I know I have a lot of Christian followers that are watching this right now, and I would never tell them to listen to any of my music, but that song, you can hear the desperation in that. I actually still like that song to this day.
Okay. Then we have track number 5, and it says, I don't know if I'm going to read Dame, but I'm assuming it says Dame Polvo.
Oh, Dame Polvo.
Dame
Spanish,
Polvo.
Give me powder.
Okay.
I'm talking about dope.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
now, but you said Dame Polvo. See,
Yeah.
somebody would interpret that as you take dope or give it to me, let me,
Yeah.
dame un toque.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
But-
not out. Yeah.
But one thing that a lot of people may not realize is that you never drank, if I'm correct.
Never drank.
You never smoked.
No.
Never did any drugs.
Never.
But yet you said Dame Polvo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the whole song's about going to basically a cartel connection saying, hey, give me some product.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Track number 6, Chicano Gangster Rap.
Yeah, that one, another one that to this day I still like. And that one it from the time I started, I remember hearing This is for the Raza by Kid Frost, and it was just a very innocent time for me as an artist to write raps and stuff, and there was no money involved, there was no record companies, no distribution, there was nothing. And I on that song I describe just the kind of how it just everything changed. You know, and actually, if I recall, the chorus says, let's go back to the good old days with Chicano gangster rap. And that's basically what I'm talking about, because so many years had passed already. I started rapping when I was 16, and now I'm 31 dropping this album.
Right.
So I just saw a whole decade of just change, and I wanted to bring it back to what it was.
Okay.
And I think you can relate to that, just the love of the music.
Absolutely. It's almost like saying bring back the boom bap, the old school sound of hip hop. Now let me ask you something interesting, because here, when I say LA, I'm talking about, if you will, the Sureño side of LA, if you will, okay? Because that's the way everybody sees it out here. And when you're from, they'll see it as norteño rap.
Yeah.
Up there during that time when La Raza came out,
Yeah.
were, if you will, norteños bumping La Raza?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so they never saw it as, oh, that's Sureño rap, we can't play that.
No.
See, over here, we saw your music as norteño rap, we can't play that. As a matter of fact, artists can't even admit that.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, but here's how crazy it was here, because when that song came out, dope song. Okay, I don't think anybody could have delivered it.
It's a classic.
Yeah, like the way Kid Frost did in a classic beat from Tony G. But even out here in the neighborhood, have you heard that song, La Raza? Yeah. I wonder where he's from.
Oh, really?
It wasn't even about like it's a dope jam.
You know what he did that was, I don't know, I'm guessing he purposely did this. He made it black and white. Because I'm sure if it was color, there's probably a bunch of guys wearing blue on that video.
Right.
But when it showed an MTV Raps, to see somebody that was Chicano, that was amazing. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I remember bumping that song constantly.
Yeah, no, you know what? That's a great point, what you just said, because I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. So now track number 7, La Mas Hermosa.
Yeah.
Okay. Who's La Mas Hermosa?
Back then,
Yeah, of course.
remember when LL Cool J came out with I Need Love?
I Need Love, of course.
And that sold, who was buying his albums?
Women.
Women. Actually, and I remember learning that early on back then. So every single, if you go back to all of my solo albums, there was always 1 or 2 love songs, because I knew that was going to generate record sales. Because all these women didn't want to listen to a bunch of Chicanos rapping about doing this and doing that. So if you put a nice song, a nice beat, you're going to sell records. It was just to generate money. And if you go back, every single album I did, I always did that. And I took that blueprint from LL Cool J.
Yeah, I think Drake did too. So, because a lot of his songs are just dedicated just to women.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know any of his songs.
I only know because my son shows me them. I don't listen to that guy. Track number 8, This Cholo Life.
Yeah, same thing. A lot of it, you know, it's funny because I haven't heard these album titles since years. But now that you're bringing it again, man, a lot of it was just trying to grasp that innocence of how it was when I was, 18, 19, 20, and compared to what it had become.
Right.
Just the industry, it got very ugly. And I get some of my old friends that used to be in the group, they don't understand me when I say that the industry is wicked, it's evil, and they're just like, why do you say that, man? This is our past. This was our legacy. And I'm like, you don't understand, man. I'm not saying music per se. It's what I made it.
Yeah.
It's what I made it, what it meant to me, and the things that I was rapping about. And to me, it was evil. It was wicked. And I'm embarrassed by a lot of the stuff that I would say. My mentality, but that's where my mind was at. That's where it was at, you know what I mean? In the same way, like there's people in church and they're all tatted up, and I would never tell them to cover those tats, because there's something there of what brought you to where you're at today, And the same thing with my music. Sometimes it's embarrassing, sometimes, but I get it. I see the importance of it. I know there's some people. Once in a while, somebody will say, man, what kind of pastor are you? You're still making money off of your... What are you talking about? Go to my channel. I don't have any of my old music. I can't help what people put on their YouTube channel.
Right. That's a great point that you brought that up, though.
Yeah, I'm not getting no royalties. Matter of fact, somebody's making money off my music because I see it on Amazon MP3. I see it on Apple. I see it on all that. Somebody's making money. Every time I do an interview, somebody's making more money off my old music. Yeah. It ain't me, so... Anyways,
the Cholo Life, okay.
The Cholo Life.
Track number 9, Do You Really Want to Know?
Man, I don't remember.
Okay. Track number 10 with Mari D and Ginger, My Homegirl.
Yeah, those are, it was a sister-in-law and a sister that one sang and one rapped. They were from Salinas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I wanted to do a track. So we did a track, like a story, to where one of them was my homeboy's little sister. And I'm trying to tell her, don't fall into the same life as your brother who's in prison. And that's kind of just a little story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Track number 11, How We Roll, featuring Big Drew.
I think that was like a party song, I think.
Okay. Okay. Track number 12, Crazy Weekend Night, featuring Ginger.
Yeah, another one, just a good night, a good cruising kind of a, it was a good day, Ice Cube type of song, just a kickback song.
Track number 13, G Love. This is Big Drew featuring Dyno.
Yeah, at that time I was Drew. He's my cousin. He's a great singer, and I was trying to raise him up as an artist. So I was trying to get him recognized. So on that, I told him, man, why don't you do a song on my album, and I'll just do a little tiny verse. So at the time, I was trying to help him out in his career, and then I went away to prison.
Okay. Track number 14, Daddy's Home, featuring Raul.
Yeah, that song is wow. It's I didn't know that song was going to come true. That song is a letter written to my daughter from prison.
Really?
Yeah, and a year later, it came true. A lot of the things I rapped about missing her days in school and missing, you know what I mean? And it, I was away for 6 years, so.
Wow. Okay.
I almost spoke death over myself.
Wow. And that's what I want to talk about next. Track number 15, which is the last track, Struggle, Duke and Dub.
I don't remember exactly what that song was about.
Okay. You had mentioned something, and you wrote a letter. This was a song that you wrote a letter to your daughter, but I guess it ended up coming to pass that it was true. Do you believe, like that saying that people say, people speak things into existence? Do you believe that that's real?
Yeah, I do to a certain point. Yeah.
Do you believe
I can't speak, Rolls Royce into popping, but yeah. But I think people depending on how you live your life, that's what you're going to get back. What you plant, what you sow is what you're going to reap.
Yeah.
So, now that I look back, when I see all of this negativity that was happening, it was because that's what I was sowing. Listen to my old music. That's what I was sowing. That's what I was throwing out. So of course, that's what was going to come back to me. So in the same way, you know what I mean? If I speak life into the my wife or my children, I'm going to get love back. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure. Is that what the direction you're saying?
Right. Yeah.
I think that happens with everything. Even on here, I guarantee you somebody's being really negative on the comments. But you know what? That doesn't affect me. That's the seed they're throwing. So maybe because of all that negativity they throw out, they're always going to get negativity back. But it doesn't affect me and it doesn't affect you.
No.
Because after this, I get to spend time with my wife in Los Angeles and enjoy myself with her. You know what I mean? And I go home to my children and my church family and my parents, and my life, is tomorrow isn't promised. So I'm going to enjoy these moments.
Right. From the time that you released your first record,
yeah,
and from the time you released your last one, you did so many records, you did so many shows, you did 8 movies. Within that span of time, can you say that you were happy with your life?
No.
Now, can you kind of explain that? And let me ask you why I want you to explain. Let me tell you why I want you to explain that. Because there's people that they pretty much want possibly what you had.
Yeah.
And they think they can be happy if I reach that level.
Yeah.
But I tend to believe that money does not make you happy.
No.
Okay. And you had money.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now my question is, why weren't you happy if you had the things that the world sees as, if I just get there, I'll be good? But you were there and you weren't good.
Yeah.
Can you care to elaborate?
I'm glad you're asking this, because I think even Christian rappers need to hear this, is that the world will always put a carrot in front of you, and it'll never satisfy you, because that carrot's right in front of you, but you never reach it. So you're always searching and searching. You get a check, you want a bigger check. You get a house, you want a bigger house. You get this girl and you want another girl. You get, so it never ends. You have a successful album, and the next one has to be better than that one. So you're constantly chasing, and when you chase something, you start to feel like a hamster in a wheel, and you're just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? I remember one of my biggest regrets of my whole career is that I missed my daughter's birthday party for a concert.
Wow.
My biggest regrets from my whole career. And it's like, why? I will never get that back. I see pictures of that birthday party, and I see her breaking the piñata, and I see her cutting her cake, and I wasn't there. That's a failure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this world will only put a carrot in front of you, but you will never get that carrot. And so no matter what, you can never succeed enough, because that's the lie. That's the lie that keeps us going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that the carrot's going to be better. The carrot's going to be better. And it never is. And, for me, I'm just like, man, what am I doing chasing after the world to love me? When I had a little girl that I was her whole world, you know what I mean? And my kids, you know what I mean? And it's like, it took me a lot of years to understand that, and that's heartbreaking, man.
Yeah. Let me say this. I've known 2 rappers, and I would never give up their names. And I knew these guys. I knew one closer than the other. I was closer to one than the other, but I knew both of them.
Yeah.
Their first debut albums were gold records. I believe one of them actually hit platinum. And for those of you guys that may not know what a gold record is, you sold 500,000 hard copies, not digital downloads, not streaming, hard copies, CDs, cassettes, vinyl. That's 500,000, 500,000, that's gold. I believe the other guy went platinum. He sold 1 million hard copies.
Yeah.
They were on top of the world and were the cockiest people I didn't want to be around.
Wow.
Though I knew them, okay? My whole point in sharing that is that when they got to the top, at least in their mind, they could care less about that second album. So when it was time for them to start putting that second album together, it was almost like they just kind of pieced it together. People are going to buy it because it's me.
Yeah.
Okay. And it flopped.
They believe the lie.
They believed the lie. It flopped. And this is the God's honest truth. Those two guys went so crazy that they had to be put into a mental ward.
Wow.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
They had to put into a mental ward because they lost it up here.
Yeah.
One of them actually even escaped. That they had to actually bring him back. Okay? And what I'm saying is many people believe this lie.
Yeah.
You know, that this music industry, like you said, the carrot mentality. I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it. And then you think once you get there, you're there. Nah, now you gotta kind of keep it.
Yeah.
You know, and they couldn't. And they never rose again after that. And these old dudes are still doing shows, trying to still reach that carrot.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Same. You got Christian rappers doing the same thing. 50 years old, 55 years old, sitting out there trying to do shows like a 20-year-old. You know, and it's like because maybe they couldn't make it in the secular world.
No, you know what? Yeah. And I'm going to tell you this. I had a talk with a Christian rapper, I want to say late 90s. And I knew he did secular music before.
Yeah.
And we thought he sucked then. And then all of a sudden now he's going to a church and now he wants to rap for the Lord.
Yeah.
And I just told him like this, look, bro, I'm not trying to be mean, but you couldn't make it in the real world, but now you want to rap for the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this whole rap thing is not good, you know, it's not for you.
Yeah.
Maybe you just ought to try to get a job.
Yeah.
And I think a real friend should tell you the truth, not lie to you and continue to put that carrot like, oh, you got it, man. You got it. No. But a lot of these guys, you know, believe the lie and they continue to go forward. Now, during that time, you had your whole Darkroom Familia crew. I don't know how many members were a part of it, but I'm sure you also had your friends on the street.
Yeah.
I bring that up because I heard this today, and I've heard it growing up. But I want you to elaborate on it. Tell me who you hang around with, and I'll tell you who you are. Do you believe that that's true?
Yeah, my dad used to say it all the time.
And when he used to tell that to you, did you understand what he meant?
Yeah, I think so. Maybe not at the depth of what he was saying, but I understood what he was saying. Yeah.
Today, can you, even though it's self-explanatory, but can you elaborate a little bit on that for somebody that may be watching?
Yeah.
You know, tell me who you hang around with, and I'll tell you who you are.
Yeah, well, because it's okay. I say it to people in the church.
Okay.
You know, when you have people that you know, and I'm not talking about a brand new Christian. I'm not talking about that. That's different. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's a baby Christian. But somebody that's been a Christian for years, but they're always on the fringe. They're always like let me be as Christian as I can be worldly. You know what I mean? And what happens is they start to find other people in the church just like that. You know, so you start to see it. And it's like, for me, right, when I decided that I'm just going to surrender my life to the Lord, I'm just going to go forward, I'm just like, you know what? I don't want to be that, what my dad used to say, you know, as far as in the negative. So I want to hang around successful people. You know, if I want to learn to be a mechanic, I'm going to hang around the best mechanics. If I want to learn to be whatever, I'm going to hang around the best ones. I'm going to glean from them. I'm going to learn from them. Because if all you do is hang around people that are going nowhere, guess what? You're going to end up going nowhere because there's no drive there. You know, and so I think that all people, you know, that whatever it is you want to do in life, you got to seek the people out that can do that and become their friend. Be like, man, you know what? Can I hang around with you? Can I just, you know, just get some of that what you got, you know? And I did the same thing when I got out of prison. I didn't have a church to go to. I didn't have nothing. So I would visit churches. And as soon as service is over, I'd go up to the pastor. I'd be like, hey, my name is David Rocha. I just got out of prison. I gave my life in prison. I was preaching in prison. Is there any way I can have coffee with you or lunch with you, please?
And what was, I mean, even though I know the reason, but what would be the reason for that for those that are watching? Like, why did you want to sit down with him?
Why did I want to? Number one is accountability, because I didn't want to come out of prison and just get lost, because this world was huge compared to prison. All the Christian brothers were always together. You know, we were eating breakfast, lunch, dinner, Bible study, everything. All of a sudden out here, I could just do anything I want to do. Who's watching? You know, and so I didn't want that to creep in. But the second reason was I knew what I wanted to do with my life from now on. So I wanted to find like-minded men that can pour into me, you know, because I'm just like, if you are successful in what you're doing, then I need to learn from you. You know, so that way it's like, show me who you are around and I'll tell you who you are. You know, so I think it's the same thing, man. Successful people, you will never have a group of successful people and all of a sudden there's just some oddball that don't, you know,
Right.
It's almost this gravitational pull that if you hang around successful people, it's going to pull you into a better position in your life.
Yes.
Because you're going to see, you know, I'll give you a perfect example is one of my sons. He loves cars, and he didn't have a car at the time. He was actually using Bobo, right? What car was he using before he had a car? Was it the little gray one, right? Yeah. Well, he hung around, you know, his friends that were into cars, you know, like those muscle cars.
Yeah,
where,
okay.
You know, they take out the catalytics and all that, you know,
Okay.
just, and he'd hang around them, and he wanted to, you know, and he started working, and he would spend his money in dumb things. And they're just like, what are you doing, man? You're driving around, you know, this car from your mom and your dad. What are you doing, you know? And after a while of going to these car meets, he just like, man, I got to get my stuff together. I want one of these cars.
Yeah.
So he ended up and got a good job. And he started working. He started working 6 days a week. He started saving money. And then he ended up getting himself a Chevy SS, something, I don't know what.
Right.
You know? So basically by hanging around people that were doing better than him, it was like a magnet, and it pulled him in the same direction.
Wow. Quick story. Had a buddy of mine, I want to say it was late 90s. Just got married. But his 5 friends, and I knew who these guys were. Cool dudes.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, cool dudes. But every single one of those 5 friends, and I know I'm speaking to somebody here, were all divorced. All of them.
Yeah.
They all got caught cheating. And those are my homies right there.
Yeah.
You just got recently married. What's going to end up happening? Because these guys still like to do these things that single men do. Don't get caught up. No, don't worry about me. That's what he told me, don't sweat mines. That's what he told me. Don't sweat mine. Don't worry about me.
But he hung around a bunch of guys that divorced.
Every single one of them, 5 guys, all of them were divorced. Within less than a year, he was divorced.
Yeah.
Tell me who you hang around with, and I'll tell you who you are. And I just think a lot of times
Good example.
We need to check ourselves on who, you know, are they, what is that saying? Are they withdrawing more than they're depositing?
Yeah.
You know, and most guys just like to withdraw.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
You know, not a good place.
Yeah, but there's a reason. Everything that you're saying about show me who you hang around, that's who you are. That's why when it goes back to the Bible, it says for the older women, teach the younger women. For the older men, teach the younger men. Because that's the only way it's going to work. That is biblical.
Right now, who is teaching the women of the world? The Kardashians?
Yeah, I was just going to say Kardashians or these rappers. I don't even know their names anymore.
These rappers. And that's where they're getting like how to dress, how to look, how to act.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, growing up, we were taught biblical morals without knowing that they were biblical morals. For an example, don't steal.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't lie. You know, etc. And we didn't know we were getting taught these things, and then come to find out later on they're in, you know, God's moral law to the Hebrew nation, the 10 Commandments, okay? And I look at that, and I think to myself, are families today passing that along to their kids? Because we got so many youngsters today that just pick up a rifle, record themselves, and I think I'm going to go shoot up this market. Mm-hmm. I think I'm going to go to the elementary school and kill a bunch of, you know, innocent children today.
Yeah.
You know, I believe that it starts at home.
Yeah.
You know, because one wise man told me this years ago, and I didn't understand it, David. He said, if you don't father your kids, the world will.
Yeah.
And at that time, I didn't understand what he meant by the world. Mm-hmm. But it's very, very true. So it starts at home.
Yeah.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and take a 10-minute break. When we come right back, we're going to talk about your movie.
Okay.
Okay. And your book.
Yes.
Okay. And a bunch of other things. So, okay, everybody, once again, call somebody, text somebody. You guys know the rest. David Rocha, a.k.a. Sir Dyno, former member of Darkroom Familia. So we'll see you guys back in 10 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to Roadium Radio episode 258. And I want to thank everybody who liked, commented, subscribed, everybody on the live chat. Me and David were actually looking at the live chat, and we just thought you guys are hilarious. So if you guys are having a good time, hey, say whatever makes you feel better. So other than that, we're going to go ahead and continue this with none other than David Rocha, a.k.a. Sir Dyno. David, how you doing?
Good, man. I was reading the comments. I got to give props on a couple of them. Somebody said, I sweat burger grease. That was a funny one.
Burger grease?
Yeah. And then I don't know who drives a minivan and wears something, me or you. I don't know.
I don't have a minivan, so.
Me either.
I think they got the facts mixed up.
I don't know.
But anyways, just keep it up. You know what? We thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. Good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So now you have a book.
Yes.
Care to elaborate about that book? Is it out yet? Who wrote it?
It's already out. This is my third book that I've done, but I publish books.
Right.
We have a few of them, God's Fingerprints. We have quite a few of them, actually, but this is my third one. The first one I did was Mr. My Confusion, which is something I wrote before I went to prison, when I was still in my music career. Then I did my my testimony, which is the story of my life, called Lost in the Storm. I think that's the one I shared last time.
Yes.
But this is my latest one. It's called Who Are You?
Okay.
Identity in Christ. This is my latest one. It's on, you can get it anywhere. It's paperback, it's an ebook, and it's Audible. I did the narration myself.
Okay.
And you know, it's interesting because you know how you said that album, we talked a lot and elaborated on that last album I did. And I had said that I kind of felt like that was like the album of all albums to sum up my entire career. Well, this right here is something, this is really dear to me because it's called Who Are You? Identity in Christ. A lot of people, when it comes down to it, the reason we join gangs, the reason we do this, because we would just want to identify, we want to belong to something. And our identity was really meant in Christ. And until we come to that realization, we're searching the world, we're searching this and searching that because we're trying to find who we are. You know, and I've been teaching this as a seminar for quite a few years, and I finally said, you know what, I'm going to put this in book form. I just want to just kind of put this thing together because I want this to last longer than myself. Right. You know, so this so this is available. Who Are You? Identity in Christ.
Okay, and now when you say available, where can people purchase this?
Amazon. That's probably the easiest one.
Okay.
You can go to Audible, the Audible app, or I think I'm not sure what Apple has, but if you like listening, I like listening to books sometimes.
Okay.
You know, and so you can get it as an Audible, you can get it as an ebook, anywhere where paperbacks, ebooks, or Audibles are sold. That includes all the books that I publish.
How long did it take you to put this one together?
How long did this one take, Sharon? About.
Well, truly, it's 9 years in the making.
Yeah. I've been teaching the seminar for 9 years.
Okay.
So when I actually got to doing it, just a few weeks, huh?
Yeah,
just a few, like 2 months. Yeah, but it was just so much that I just wanted to put it down already. So
okay, and how long has it been out already?
This has only been out maybe, is it 6 months maybe? Yeah, this is my latest one.
Okay, and what has the response been?
Really good, really good. We're doing a workbook. There's a Bible college where I graduated from. They actually want to turn this into one of the courses. So that's a huge deal for me. You know, just personal. That's a personal goal. That was incredible. In next month, actually, I got invited to speak at 2 prisons in Texas. So I'm going to be going over there the first day in Rusk, Texas. I'm going to speak to 200 inmates. And I'm going to be sharing this. I already had a whole box of this that's ready to go for those guys. And then I'm going to Beaumont, Texas, and speaking to 400 inmates.
Awesome. I've been to Beaumont. As a matter of fact, my picture that I have with Quick, second to none.
Yeah, I've never been there.
AMG. It's that was our first stop in Texas, was the Beaumont.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 1991. Now, you know who you are. Oh, I'm sorry. Who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
Who are you? Identity in Christ. You know.
Actually, I want to give this to you.
Oh, thank you. Well, you got to sign it for me, definitely. So I'll get a pen afterwards. Now, how long now have you been out of prison?
I got out in 2010, so 12 years.
Okay, 12 years. How long now have you been pastoring?
11 years.
11 years.
Yeah.
Are you having fun?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
You know what?
Tell me.
It's a heavy role. When I went to Bible college, when I was incarcerated. I found a university that would deal with inmates and give us price breaks on a lot of the courses. If it wasn't for them, I would have never been able to do it. I remember getting my degree in biblical studies, getting my bachelor's in ministry, and I thought I was ready.
Right.
Boy, you know, but then when you get people that are on the verge of divorce, you get people on the verge of suicide, you get people that they want to go kill their neighbor, you get people that they can't stop doing meth as much as they want, and they're crying every single Sunday. You know, I'm just like, I didn't learn anything in Bible college. And that's when for me, that's when it became real Bible college, which has been the last 11 years.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people, you know, from the outside looking in, they look at the Christian world and they think, you know, it's sad. It's sad when people look at a pastor and say, this guy's just in it for the money.
Yeah.
You know, he probably drives a Rolls Royce or something like that.
I drive a minivan.
Yeah. Exactly. You know, and the reason why I bring up the whole Rolls Royce thing is because there are certain pastors here in LA.
I remember you telling me.
Yeah, they have a Rolls Royce club.
Yeah.
Okay. But here you have people talking about Christian ministers when really, you know, you need to sit back and look at other churches, because the richest church in the world is the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
We never look at a Catholic priest and say, oh, that guy's balling. You know, but they'll look at a pastor and then say, oh, he's just in it for the money.
Yeah.
No, I like to believe that not only do you love serving God, but you love his people.
Yeah.
And I believe that's why you do what you do. And ultimately, your reward is not here.
Yeah.
Your reward is when you see him.
Yeah. You know, I want to say this too, is that for 11 years, I have not been on payroll at House of Rest Church.
Now, when you say payroll, you don't get a check?
I don't get a check from preaching. You know what I mean? I'm just grateful that if people give so we can keep the building going and have the lights on and water in the toilet and the sink. That's why I write these books. That's why I'll do T-shirts. You know, that's why I do paintings. I remember I gave you a painting.
Yes,
there's a couple galleries that carry my art, because that is how I make my living. You know, and that's why I even tell people at the congregation. That's why, like, here's the thing, right? A lot of times pastors water down their messages because they're afraid. Because if they say the wrong thing and offend people, the biggest givers are not going to give. And I've told people at the congregation, I said, you know what? I'm going to preach the Bible. I'm going to preach the word of God. I'm going to preach what the Lord tells me in my ear. I'm going to scream it on the rooftops. And if you don't like it, and if you don't give, it's not going to affect me, because I'm not on payroll. You know what I mean? I'm nobody's slave.
Right.
I'm Christ's slave. That's it. I serve God. I serve Jesus, and that's it. I don't serve man. You know what I mean? So for 11 years, I have been pastoring and trying to edify people and build people up. And nobody could ever say that it's because of money. You know what I mean? So I thank God for the talents that I have to write. I thank God for the talents that I have for being creative and creative ideas and things, because that's how God allows me to make a living.
Yeah, yeah. You know, now let me ask you this. I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but you being from the world and now pastoring a church, have you ever gotten anybody from the world that still sees you as Sir Dyno walk into the church and try to confront you for anything?
No, I've had a lot of active people come in to check it out because they're tired of the life themselves. So you get a lot of people that are active gang members that they're like, I want to change my life, and I came here because I feel like you're the only one that would understand. So I get a lot of that.
And do you ever counsel some of these people?
Yeah.
Without naming anybody, what are some of the things that they share with you? If you're able to.
I had
elaborate.
one guy that drove hours. I think he drove 9 hours on a Wednesday night Bible study. He showed up. He had a certain color on, bandana, and I think I think he just did a murder, because he came and said this. He goes, I want to accept Christ, and I don't know who to go to, and you're the only one that would understand, and I think this is probably the last few days I'll ever be out free. He goes, I did something really bad, and I want to give my life to the Lord. And I led him to the Lord right then and there, and he gave me his bandana. And he gave me his colored shirt, and he says, here, I don't need this anymore.
He was ready to turn himself.
Yeah, he was ready to turn himself in. This stuff, this is real stuff. We're not some fluffy little, warm little fuzzy church. We're right in the dead center of Modesto, California. You know, and We're not afraid of conflict. We're not afraid of confronting the things we have to confront. We're not, so I don't know what people perceive what a pastor is. My life is not pampered. It's never been pampered. My life has been a struggle, but you know what? It is worth it, man, because when I see lives changed in the end, when I see people, marriages mended together, when I see young people and they meet and they court and they have a beautiful relationship and they get married and then they have children and then I'm dedicating their child. I mean, that is reward. When my own daughter, my oldest daughter is now coming to the church, my 2 granddaughters, are sitting there singing worship songs. That is the greatest thing. What else could I ask for?
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Like my wife said, funerals, I do funerals. That there's nothing fun about that. This is real stuff, and I don't know what people think of pastoring is. It's a lot of late nights. It's having to go, to the hospital, especially during COVID, that they won't let me in, and the family's outside crying 3 a.m. because their loved one's inside, and they don't know if they're ever going to see them again, and they're asking for prayer, and there we go. I don't get paid for that. I'm not on payroll. But I go. Why? Because the Lord says to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength, and all your might, and likewise love your neighbor. So when somebody calls me and they're hurting, we got to get in the car and go.
So explain to us, who is our neighbor?
Our neighbor is everybody. The person next to you, the person across the street, the person that flips you off, the person probably writing horrible comments about me right now. They're my neighbor. I still love them. It doesn't even matter. I still love them. I'm just glad. Let them say whatever they want to say. I'm just glad they're hearing something positive. They're hearing something word. Because here's the thing. The Bible says that the word of God does not come back void. So whether they want to receive it or not, they're receiving life. They're receiving seed right now. So let them stay on there. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because then, and I pray this, that tonight when they lay down, that the Lord gives them and reveals to them who he truly is. That's what matters.
That's awesome. I like that. So you guys keep it up on the live chat. Anyways, now, where do you see yourself, David, 10 years from now?
Where do I see myself 10 years from now? If the Lord gives me those years, I see many other house of rest churches popping up. We already have a house of rest in Phoenix, House Church. And pretty soon, they're growing to the point where they're going to need a building really soon. We're talking to a couple from Lake Tahoe right now. They have about 20 young people, and they want to become a house of rest in Lake Tahoe.
House of rest. Of rest would be
House of Rest is our church.
Yeah, okay.
And we have a house of rest right now that is about to start with a couple in Houston, which we're going to be there in July. Once I go to Beaumont and the other prison, we're going to Houston to be with that couple. So within this next few months, that's already going to be 4 different house of rest churches. And, to be honest with you, I don't really care about the name. I don't care. There's only one name I care about. That's Jesus. That's it. But, I will say this is that so many people watch us online and so many people that said, man, Christians are a bunch of hypocrites. Christians are this, Christians are that. But then when they come and really listen, they hear something real. And I believe that we have something beautiful that the church has left out, which is family. Family, man. And so number one, we want to preach the word the way it's supposed to be preached. But second, put it this way, after service, nobody wants to leave. Nobody wants to leave. And sometimes I ask people why, and they said, because I go through hell all week long. This is the only place I have peace. I don't want to leave. So we are never in a hurry to close the church. Sundays, I had to apologize to everybody today to come here because Sundays, it's an all-day thing. Nobody wants to leave. We just hang out. We get hungry. We're like, let's go get some pizzas then. Go get some chicken. Go get some burritos. You know what I mean? Because our church, we do life together. We're not a big church, and I don't ever want to be a big church. I want to be able to know your name and your children's name, and so we got like 120 chairs. I don't want it any bigger than that. I don't, because I believe that a lot of times when churches get too big, that becomes hoarding. People like watching that TV show of hoarders because they just like collecting stuff. Some pastors, they like collecting people. So just so they can brag, just so they can say, well, I got 5,000 people, 1,000 people. And in all honesty, you are hoarding people that have callings that should have been released to do what God has called upon their life. But instead you're hoarding them just so you can brag that you got this big church.
If you don't mind me asking, about how many members would you say you have?
We're probably at maxed out about 120 if everybody came at once.
Okay.
But usually there's about 80 to 90 every week.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, well, online, yeah, we have a big online presence.
Okay. I read something one time, and I don't know why I kept going back to it. It was in the Bible.
Yeah.
And it talked about a shepherd that had pretty much 100 sheep, 99 stayed, one left, correct?
Yeah.
We know the story. He went and got that one, and he came back.
Yeah.
Okay, he got his 100 again. I don't know why I kept reading that, but I kept reading it, okay? And it was pretty much what you just said.
Yeah.
There was a reason, I believe, why only 100 was mentioned.
That's good. I'm going to have to use that. That's good.
I mean, think
That's
about
good.
this. You know those families.
Yeah.
You know them by name.
We
You know
love our
their children.
families.
You know, if you have 5,000 people, it's going to be nearly impossible
Yeah.
for you to get to know absolutely every single one of them.
Yeah.
So when I saw that 100 number, I said, there's a reason why that number was it stood out to me. Then I began to study biblical numerology. I'm not talking about worldly numerology,
Yeah.
but biblical numerology.
Yeah.
And like the number 7, the number 12, 40, and 100, etc. They all mean something. And when
Yes.
you began to study that, then you began to see,
Yeah.
okay, this book is just more than from Genesis to Revelation. There's something more to this.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't consider myself a Christian. I don't. And I'll say it to everyone listening. But if you were to ask me, Shoni, do you believe that the Bible's true? I would have to say yes. Yeah. And I would have to say that I believe the Bible is real. Okay. Now, when I was working at the time, I had a Bible there and I used to always read it. And of course, I'm eating lunch and I'm just reading to educate myself.
Yeah.
I had a guy in there that graduated USC and happened to be working in Compton. Why he didn't, do anything with his life with his degree, I have no idea. Never bothered asking him. But he was always trying to challenge me about the Bible. So one day I just closed the Bible and I gave it to him and I said, I'll tell you what, take it home, and whatever contradiction you get, you can find whatever contradiction, I'll give you $100.
Yeah.
For any contradiction. I gave it to him and he took it. 1 month later, he never came back to sit down with me again. So I went and sat down with him, and I said, I'm still waiting. And he goes, I haven't even gotten to it. I knew he was lying.
Yeah.
So, but he couldn't find. So if you ask me, do you believe that the Bible's real? I'm going to have to say yes, I am. Somebody has to make me a non-believer.
Yeah.
I know atheists. I don't have enough faith to be an atheist.
Yeah. Same here. That's insane to me.
I can't sit here and say nothing made everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I will have to believe everything from Genesis to Revelation.
I agree. But at the same time, I don't get angry when somebody doesn't believe, because I understand that the God of this world blinds them.
And who was that?
The enemy, Satan.
Satan, Lucifer, Belial,
Yes.
and
So
Lord
I
of the
understand it. So I don't get mad. I don't get upset, because actually it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart for them, because I was blind too. I was blind to it too. I would have people, Victory Outreach, I'd be cruising somewhere and they'd give me a flyer for their play or this or that. And I remember looking at it and I'd throw it on the ground in front of their face. But in reality, I wasn't rejecting them. I was rejecting Christ. So I get it. I understand. And there's probably somebody even listening to this now be like, oh man, this guy, all he talks about is Jesus. Well, man, if you don't understand, man, if you were saved from a burning fire, and somebody came and saved you, and the person that saved you ended up dying to save you, that would be the story I would talk about all the time.
Right.
Well, guess what? Somebody pulled me out of a fire. And all I got to do is I'm going to say that every day, because every day belongs, every day that person deserves honor, because I wouldn't be here if I were not pulled out of that fire.
People may complain about you talking about God all the time, but you know what? We got guys on right now watching that talk about prison all the time. We talk about gangs all the time. They talk about whatever all the time. Party all the time. Anyways, but now, let's touch a little bit about your movie, because you had a movie that you already had written.
Yeah.
And if you don't mind me bringing this up, I feel like I have to bring it up. I know we had talked about it. I don't know if things have changed. But during the time that I was working with Mr. D,
Oh yeah.
okay, you had called me up, told me, hey, you know what? I would like to put him on the movie. All right, cool. Then it got to the point where like I wanted to be kind of like a supporting act on, and then it went to I want him to play the lead role, and I connected you guys.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we at with the movie, and what's going on with that?
Well, I put a pause on the movie. Nothing to do with Mr. D. Actually, I had great conversations with him. Really smart young man. You know, I really liked him. I think I talked to him maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yes.
And very respectful. You know what I mean? But I put a pause on that movie. The movie was actually in the midst of my confusion, which is the first book that I did. I wrote that back in the 90s. And it was just a fictional story about a kid that's pulled between gangs and family. And I was ready to do it, had the equipment to do it. But then something else came up, and I put a pause on that. I put a pin on that. And that's what I wanted to talk about more, was why I put a pin on it. Because I think the project I do, the project I put that on aside for is so much more important to me, and I believe needs priority. We're working on a documentary on my wife's brother. My wife's brother was it 23 or 25 years, babe? Your brother, his sentence. He got 25 years, and his story, he's in federal prison right now. He has a few years left. I think he's been in 16, 18 years so far. And when I heard his story and the injustice of just torture, falsely kidnapped, I mean, just crazy. It sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even want to unload the whole thing right now, but we're putting that together. I started filming that because I feel like I knew his story. I've known his story since I met my wife, but he's been very hush about it. He didn't want to talk about it because a lot of it involves crooked politicians and crooked cops, especially in Southern California, and things that happened to him. And he just didn't want none of that stuff to chase him or come after his family. But now that he's in his last few years of doing his time, and him being denied over and over and over motions, he says, you know what? I'm ready to talk about this and expose this for what it is, you know? So we had a meeting with the family, and I said, you know what? I'm going to put the movie on pause. That movie can wait because this is more pressing, you know? And what we're doing is doing a documentary. He grew up down here in Sun Valley. And at the time, back then, without saying a whole lot, unfortunately, there was an officer that was killed in that neighborhood or from that neighborhood back then at that time. And after that, these officers, they basically not only wanted the guy that did it, but they went after everybody in the whole neighborhood, whether they were affiliated with the gang or not, just from being from the neighborhood.
Wow.
Her brother was in Honduras. He wasn't even here. And basically, I don't want to give the whole thing away, but basically he got kidnapped by people here and almost tortured and almost killed. And if it wasn't for her family that found paperwork that fell from America,
wow,
that basically let them know where these kidnappers are from, or at least who hired them, and it just turned into a protest. It was a big old thing in the news over there. He almost got beat to death. Yeah, they brought him. So basically, they brought him to United States on a regular plane, forced him on there, and once he landed in Miami, they arrested him for coming here as an illegal because he wasn't born here.
Wow.
And basically railroaded him, gave him 25-year federal prison sentence, and it's just crazy, man. It's really insane. So I got him on phone calls. I got some of the family. One of his good friends that did time with him just got out, so I'm talking to him, interviewing him. He's all tatted up and covered in tats, talking to him, and it's going to be, so we're doing reenactments of that kidnapping, reenactments of some of the parts of his story.
Right.
And I think that this story needs to be told, not only so much because of her brother's name is Luis, not only because of that, but because there's a lot of injustices. Now, I've been in prison. There's a lot of guys that belong there. You know, trust me, there's a lot of dudes that probably shouldn't have release dates. You know, but there are people, man, that are black or they're brown that have been railroaded, and they're just sitting there, you know. And so I said, you know what, we're gonna put all of this. We got all this equipment and filming equipment and everything, And I just want to concentrate on this documentary and make it as powerful as we can make it. We have plans on getting it on Amazon Prime at the very least.
Okay.
And we're really excited about that, actually.
How far are you guys into this already?
Well, probably just in the beginning stages. If I would say there's 5 stages, we're at stage 1.
Okay, and about how long do you guys possibly think it's gonna last? About an hour, 2 hours?
Well, we're thinking about that still. I'm not sure because as it's evolving, it's turning into something else because there's so many other things we want to talk about. Because number one, it's the actual story of what happened to him. Number two is kind of the injustices of some of these people that are in position, and they have used that to take advantage of a lot of people that maybe don't have money for lawyers, don't have money for, you know what I mean? It's becoming so much more, you know what I mean? So I really want to do this. I think it's important to tell the story. I love my wife. I love her family. And, you know, I'm the one that can do it. I can make it happen, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because of the filming that I've done, the equipment that I have, the editing skills that I have, we can make this happen and make it really good, you know? This is somebody that, matter of fact, we have a prison ministry at the church. And our prison ministry is we have somebody that transcribes my sermons word for word, and we send it to inmates for free. You know, and your brother was one of the first ones to get it, you know, and he started passing them out. He would read them and pass them out, read them and pass them out. Next thing you know, we had other people saying, man, I want these too. And it just kind of became this ministry now. So now we have a bunch of prisons all over the United States that we send our stuff to. And again, it's free. Yeah. You know, it's free. And I don't know, just we're really excited about it. I'm really excited about this documentary that we're doing. That's
good. You know what? And it's for a good reason. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm glad you said that there's some people that shouldn't have a release date. Yeah. And then there's people that just got railroaded and just sitting in jail.
Yeah, well, let me say this too, that not before I finish, is the fact that he got 25 years for illegally coming here, that they forced him on. But yet, in the family, within our family, my wife's sister, her husband, his parents were executed here somewhere in the valley. Executed, right? Mom and dad and who was 3 people?
2 people.
Yeah, 2 people, and one of them is about to get out.
Wow.
After 15 years, killed his parents. After 15 years, he's about, unless he's out already, because he was about to get out recently, but yet her brother, who didn't kill nobody, nonviolent, drugs. Yeah, he had some drug charges. He wasn't an angel. He's from the neighborhood and whatnot, but there was no murders, there was no nothing. But because an officer got killed, you know, which is unfortunate. That's never a good thing, you know? I mean, I respect, you know, law enforcement. I mean, it's horrible, but they got the guy that did it. But then when they started going after the whole neighborhood, and then even to the point of going to Honduras, you know, and it's like, what do you?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy story. And there's so much to unpack, and maybe it's not making complete sense, but that's why I want to put it in a documentary form.
When do you plan on being finished? Have you set a?
I want to finish this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be finished this year, and we just have the name is.
Oh my God.
We just thought of it, actually.
Status denied.
Yeah, status denied.
Status denied.
Yeah, status denied. The story of Luis Almendares.
Well, we got 6 months left, so let's knock it out. You know, and let me encourage people that we're already 6 months into this year. Make every day, every week, every month count.
Yeah.
Because I think one thing that we will never get back, David, is wasted time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are just wasting their life away. And I've known people that when COVID first hit, my whole thing is let's keep it pushing, let's keep it going, let's do this. Nah, I'm just gonna chill, and they're still chilling.
Yeah.
So since the time that COVID started till now, they never did anything.
Yeah.
You will never ever get back time, you know. And you did several years in the penitentiary, but you took the time to educate yourself.
Yes.
And God made something out of you, and now you're a pastor, and now you're a shepherd, you're leading people.
Yes.
And that's a good thing, you know. Yes.
Can you ask my husband
Yes.
how much have we ever charged for a funeral? I just want
Oh, okay. You know, and I think that's a good question. and this is for people that may be listening and want to know, how much have you ever charged for a funeral?
Nothing. Because again, you know, sick and tired of seeing people with funerals and they have to have the car wash.
Yeah.
You know, there's people in our church that their family dies or somebody dies, or even somebody. We just recently had a brother that his wife just passed. He's a young man and his wife passed, and we do these funerals and we put together the whole thing, the whole program, the PowerPoint and everything. I'm not sure why you wanted me to bring that up, but it goes back to this: is that we just love our people, man. We love our family.
People
You know,
saying that we make money off of funerals.
that we make money off of funerals. Really?
Yeah.
Who would do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know who would want to charge someone, you know. But
I understand the funeral. What's it called? Whatever, the funeral home. I mean,
mortuary.
it's a business just like anything else.
Yeah.
I get that. You know, but
as far as you speaking, I guess you don't charge. I mean, yeah.
the gospel's free, man. The message is free.
You know, and I kind of believe. I mean, I kind of think I know why people like this would say this.
Yeah.
Because I had a friend, and his good friend is a pastor of somewhat of a small church, maybe 200 people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That pastor asked if you will, this is how the story went. My friend is a pastor, and that pastor asked somebody who pastors a mega church, would you ever come speak at my church?
Yeah.
And that pastor with the mega church told him, of 200 people, you can't afford me. So many times I believe that people that talk like that is because they hear these "you can't afford me" type of pastors, so they think everyone is like that. Yeah. So you can't do that, you know.
Yeah.
You can't do that. So
Well, here's a perfect example, right? Is the fact of this, is that you invited me here, and I filled up my tank. I got a hotel room. I spent money to come here. Why? You got to ask yourself why. First of all, well, you're my friend, but let's go deeper than that. Is because I don't know who's watching this, and what if they hear something that they needed to hear? What if they hear something in what I'm saying, or something that will bring a change about their life? So in essence, in order for somebody to hear the gospel or hear something about Christ or hear something about change, it is well worth filling my tank and buying, getting a hotel room. It's worth it to me. It's worth it to me. And I don't expect nothing in return. You know, my thing is this, is that I should have died in prison. But I'm not. I'm out here and I'm free. So it's like, for me, this is something that I do because none of these days really belong to me. The Bible says something very interesting, and I take it to heart. It says, it is not I who live, but Christ who lives in me. That's why I do this. You know, because the reward is that maybe it'll just reach somebody. And maybe it's somebody that started off watching this video hating me. Yeah. And maybe they're just being funny. But ultimately, they're going to see something different.
Yeah. I have one more question, and I should have asked it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
Because I don't want it to seem like it's off topic, but I don't think I asked you this. When you were in prison and you started reading the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, was there a story or a certain individual that, would you say, this is the story or this is the individual that really like touched me?
Yeah.
Is there a story or a certain individual that?
The Apostle Paul.
Okay.
Paul hated Christians. Matter of fact, he persecuted them, wanted them killed, wanted their families arrested. And he had a huge reputation. And one day, as he was on his way to go and arrest some Christians and bring them back so they can stand before the judges, he heard a voice from heaven and says, Paul, why are you persecuting me? And Paul falls down and he says, who are you? And he says, it is I, Jesus, who you're persecuting. And he's like, I never persecuted you. I'm chasing these people. And he's like, you persecute them. You're persecuting me. And after that moment, he changed his whole life. And because there was a lot of Christians that didn't want to receive him. Why? Because he was the main one that was giving pain, bringing pain to the Christian church. He was arresting them and killing them for many years. They wouldn't even let him talk. They didn't even want him around. They didn't trust him.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like I took that to heart because I'm just like, man, I remember arguing with God. I'm like, God, I don't want to preach. People are gonna say that I want the limelight. I've been in the limelight my whole adult life as Sir Dyno, and now you're asking me to go and preach? Seriously? People are gonna laugh at me. They're gonna say, oh, now you're a Christian. Now you want to be on stage just like you were before. I argued with God. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Please don't make me do this. I just want to serve God. I just want to live a quiet life. I'll be the guy on the 5th row. I'll clean the toilets in the bathroom. I'll find a church. I'll go there every Sunday. I'll give my tithe. I'll go to the Bible study. That's all I want. I don't want to be in the limelight. People are going to make fun of me. People are going to believe me. People are going to say I'm in it for this or I'm in it for that. God, please don't put this burden on me. I was in solitary confinement having this argument with God, and ultimately, it's a longer story, but I'll summarize it by this. Is the Lord said this to me in my heart. I heard him. I didn't hear him audibly, but I heard it. He says, so you are willing to be in the limelight for Satan, but not for me. You need to go out there and all that damage you did, you need to reverse it and go and share my name. And how can I argue with that?
Yeah.
I didn't want this.
Yeah.
You think I want to be doing funerals? You think I want to be at a place for 11 years and not be on payroll? You think I want to do that? I could have came out and continued my career. Matter of fact, I probably would have sold more records because of the notoriety of being in prison.
Very true. Very true.
The thing is this, is that nobody asked to be a preacher or an evangelist. It's a calling. It's a calling that the calling is so loud that either you do it or you go crazy.
There it is there. David, anything I didn't ask you, anything you want to promote, anything else you want to share, because we come to the conclusion of our interview, but I just wanted to give you that freedom that if there's anything else you want to say, anything I didn't ask you.
Yeah, I do want to share one thing. My wife says, no, don't share it because there are going to be more fat jokes on the commentary. But that's all right. I mean, hey, I'm a big guy. I know it.
You're fluffy, she said.
Is Cholo Trucker. He's a guy that fought Gunner.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but at that fight, I was blessed and humbled enough to be the chaplain to pray in that fight. Since then, a lot of those guys, I've been friends with them, and Cholo Trucker is somebody that I feel is a close friend of mine. And he did that boxing challenge, and then he recently did the Alcatraz challenge. He swam from Alcatraz. This guy's insane. From Alcatraz to the beach, and we were there. Me and my wife were there, showed up at 5 a.m. to support him. I thought there was a lot of swimmers, though. They do it like maybe once a month or whatever. A lot of them were coming. He wasn't showing up. And I'm live on his phone, and I'm just like, this dude ain't going to show up. A shark ate him. You know what I mean? But he showed up. Man, much props to him. I had respect for him before that. Bro, that water is freezing cold.
Yeah.
And there's sharks. And he did it. He did it. So then he says, I got my next challenge from you. One time we were doing a devotional. We're going up Highway 1, my wife and I from here. And as you know, we love cycling. And guys, don't go all crazy. I don't consider myself a person of that sport because look at me. I'm not 120 pounds. So I love the hobby of cycling.
Okay.
I love the hobby, right? I've been cycling for about 8 years. And so my wife and I have always talked about someday going down from San Francisco to Santa Monica Pier on Highway 1 on our bikes.
Wow.
Over days, obviously not straight through, but just, riding 70 miles, 80 miles, get a hotel. The next day, it's 450 miles. So one day we were talking about this on a devotional. Cholo Trucker, here's our devotionals. So he calls me up. He goes, hey, man, you gave me my next challenge. I was like, what? And he goes, I'm going to do it. Do what? He goes, I'm going to get a bike and I'm going to ride from San Francisco down Highway 1 all the way down to Santa Monica Pier. Well, I felt like that was, at that point, how are you going to take something that I said? So I'm like, you know what? We're going to do it together then. And he's like, yeah. And my wife's is like, you know what? I'm going to do it too. And Sister Raina from the church, she goes, I'm going to do it too. And Brother Chewy from the church, I'm going to do it too. You know what I mean? So now we're planning a date. We're planning to do this ride sometime in February of next year.
Okay.
450 miles from San Francisco, the Cliff House area, all the way down to Santa Monica Pier. and I'm training. You know what I mean? So you got to understand, I'm a big guy, but I used to be close to 400 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, I was hitting about 380 something pounds before. Right now I'm at 300. So, you know, if people say anything about my weight, I'm like, man, I'm 80 pounds less than I was, man. I'm excited, and I'm just going to keep going, you know. And but now that I have a direct challenge that I'm going to do, well, that's going to help me. That's going to help me get healthier, because I want to live longer. I want to give years to my life and to my health. We have grandkids that I want to see, you know. So that's something my wife and I, Cholo Trucker, and a few other people are going to be doing. We're really excited about it, and we're conditioning, we're training for it, and I think by default I will lose weight. By default I will get healthier. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing always. You know?
Yeah.
And but this challenge is not a challenge. Like, we're not racing. We're actually asking other people to join in with us. If somebody is watching this and you want to take on this challenge, you know, and just get a hold of me. You could find me on my channel. You know what I mean? Just go to my channel and comment, and we want to make this with something to look forward to, something to aspire to. You know, is to do that ride, 450 miles.
Awesome. At this point, David.
Yeah.
Any shout outs you want to give? Anybody you want to acknowledge?
I just want to shout out everybody at House of Rest Church, whether you're House of Rest Modesto or House of Rest Phoenix or House of Rest Houston or House of Rest Lake Tahoe or just House of Rest. There's so many people that watch us. Our congregation online every week is bigger than the congregation inside the building. You know.
Wow.
So we have a good. Even though I think we have 9,600 subscribers, but it's the viewers. Every week we get about 400 to 500 views every single week. The same people. So I consider that a virtual congregation of 500 people.
Awesome.
You know, awesome. And but I want to shout out to them. I want to shout out to everybody that watched this and spent your 2 hours on a Sunday watching this, and I appreciate you. I want to shout out to you too.
Thank you, David.
You know, and just everybody, man. Look out for the documentary.
Yes.
What's it called? Denied. Status denied. We just thought of the name, so. But just shout out to everybody, even the people that were cracking jokes. If they are, man, you know, I know it's all in fun.
Right.
Shout out to them too, man. Because seriously, I really appreciate the fact that they were just taking the time to listen. Throw some jokes in there, and that's fine. But at least you got to hear two men talk.
Awesome. And at this time, let me give a shout out once again to Alex Cervantes Enterprise, to Norbert, the Hip Hop Jedi, and my son, B. Scanless, and also once again, David, also your wife as well, for coming through. It's been a blessing. If you can, give us a short prayer, dismiss us, and we're out of here.
Yeah. All right, Lord God, I pray for every person that is here listening. I pray that the seed of the gospel be inserted into their hearts and their minds. They get visions and dreams. I pray that you keep us all safe. I pray for this house. I pray for this place, this studio, that anybody that sits here, that comes and they're troubled and they're hurting, I pray, Lord God, that somehow, some way, my peace, I leave it in this place and it just be felt with every single guest that comes from this point on, Lord. I pray for Tony and his entire family and this entire household, and also every single person watching. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. We're out of here. We'll see you guys Wednesday. Once again, everybody, Not Your Granny's Cookies. It's on the description. Make sure you guys place your order. We're out of here. Have a blessed night.
You got it.